If you are turned off by talking about politics or what's happening in the United States, then you might want to tune out now because we're definitely going to get there.
We're at a moment where American politics is going to shift dramatically in the next couple of years, whether you want it to or not.
The U.S. debt is $37.5
it's ridiculous.
trillion. What's the solution here? Because I looked it up. It goes up by $1 million every 24 seconds. Why do you feel like the country is so divided right now? It feels like exactly what you just said. It's like, oh, you're not on my team. So anything that person says, or if you agree with that person and I'm not on that team, I don't even want to hear it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's instant negativity on both sides.
I think it's the algorithms more than anything.
Really?
I think there is a class of people in this country, of very wealthy individuals who control the algorithms that basically dictate our entire lives.
Who are those people though? It's going to be so fast.
It's going to be good. A lot of people are saying, not me, but a lot of people say it. I don't know.
Well, people are telling me.
They're probably telling me. But with Trump, he was aligned for the moment in this last election, and it was because, one, people were frustrated at us, but it was also he could go do a 3-hour interview with Joe Rogan, and that's the medium of the moment. And Kamala Harris couldn't do that. God love her. She just couldn't do it. Her team wouldn't let her.
Why did Kamala Harris not do the Joe Rogan podcast?
I think her team was...
So Mike Nellis, founder of Authentic, and then you've got Endless Urgency, which you've got over 1 million subscribers on Substack. It was interesting, man, just doing the research and looking you up and like what you're up to.
I'm terrified of what you might have found.
I went deep down a rabbit hole, but it wasn't terrifying.
Let's find it.
But I started looking at videos and stuff like that. Yeah, because I remember, like, you know, I saw Entrepreneur, Investor, and then I started like looking at videos, and I saw you on Piers Morgan, on Tommy Lauren, on Fox News, on News Nation, I think it was. I was like, this dude is all over the place. And then I saw what you were talking about, and obviously I'm going to get into that. And I definitely want to talk about some political things. I think we have to with you here. Like, I think we just can't be like, let's just not talk about politics. Like, we got to talk about that. So if you are turned off by talking about politics or what's happening in the United States, then you might want to tune out now because we're definitely going to get there. Just a quick introduction. Mike Nellis is a leading political strategist, social impact entrepreneur, and investor reshaping the future of American politics. I appreciate you being on the show, man. Yeah. My first question was, did politics get you into entrepreneurship, or did entrepreneurship get you into politics? Like trying to put this piece of puzzle together on how you got into all this.
Yeah, so I never saw myself as an entrepreneur for a long time. So a little background on me, I dropped out of college when I was 18 to go work for Barack Obama. And I say work as if I was being paid, but it was like an unpaid internship that they called a fellowship. And a lot of the times...
This is like 2007?
This is 2007. So I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, and I watched Obama give his speech on the steps of the Illinois State Capitol and say, I'm running for president. I'm going to my first rally.
Look. What we need now?
Yeah, everybody's got one. My version is, I don't know if people remember this, but there was a congressman, I forget what his name was, but he accused Obama of lying in the middle of the State of the Union address. And he would go, "It's true." And that's how I get my.
That's actually good, yeah.
I could just see how, because he was so mad, but he couldn't let himself get mad. And I could just kind of tell. But I believed in him, and like I was protesting the Iraq War in high school, and you know it was way more complicated than the way I tell it now. But dropped out of college, and then really got to be one of the first people to do digital fundraising, digital advertising on the Democratic Party side. Got to be, I think, one of the context leaders that people go to for that. Got to work for Bernie Sanders in 2016. Got to work for Harris for a long time in 19. Worked for Biden in 20, and I run one of the largest digital fundraising advertising firms in the space. And I didn't intend to become an entrepreneur, but the company I was at before this sort of completely fell apart due to financial mismanagement and a whole bunch of HR problems with the CEO. And I was like the second person to quit because I was like, I'm not going to put up with this. Yeah. Can I curse on the show?
Yeah.
By the way? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not going to put up with this bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think, everybody has that moment, I think, when you're an entrepreneur where you go, you're explaining something to your boss, or you're in a situation, you're like, damn, am I smarter than you? Do I know, can I do this better than you? And that was sort of my moment. And so when I've started Authentic, built it up from nothing to 50 employees and basically like 500-600 campaigns that we've worked on total in the last couple of years, raised $1 billion online.
That's crazy.
I tell people if you've ever gotten a fundraising email and you liked it, we wrote it. If you didn't like it, I had nothing to do with it.
Nice. Yeah. So who runs the company now? Are you still actively involved, or do you have other people kind of running and managing the day-to-day?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the entrepreneurial operating system, which you talk to any entrepreneur, about 50% will tell you about that. And so I'm the visionary of these businesses. My job is to be big picture thinking, face of the company, big relationships, and everyone has an integrator. So we have John Barnes, who's our integrator. He's the CEO of the company that runs it day-to-day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that now?
We're about to enter year 9. I think.
Nice.
Yeah. And I've been doing this for 2 decades total.
Right. Yeah. Wow. What would you say to a founder listening or an entrepreneur listening that wants to grow their company, add people to to their roster, but maybe is stuck in them doing everything themselves?
Yeah. It's hard. You can't be a perfectionist. You just have to kind of let people go and do their thing. And you can do it in increments, but the more that I've gone, all right, I'm going to hire somebody. I'm going to trust that person. I'm going to try to do it. We just sold our AI tech startup. And what happened is, and we can talk about it more if you want to, I had an idea. We built it, created a product, got it off the ground. And then about 4 months into doing that, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know anything about an AI tech startup. I don't know anything about SaaS. So we hired somebody and I was like, you got to go run this show. You tell me what you need and I'm here. And then we create our accountability chart. And I let him go. And ultimately she did a really, really good job. Got us to a point where we sold it about a month ago.
Wow. Good for you, man. Congrats.
Thanks.
What's lifestyle like when you have a 50-person company? I know you're setting vision. There's somebody else obviously running kind of day-to-day CEO type stuff, but what is that like, the lifestyle? I feel so disconnected from the employees. And I had a junior staffer. We used to have an office in downtown Chicago, and he would tell me, I had an office, there was like 3 or 4 people in it. And to them, I was the guy that would bring the macaroons on Friday and like be like a, fun-loving regular human. Yeah. To everybody else, we're a very virtual company. So most people don't live in Chicago. They work, in their basement basically. I'm like a big floating head that shows up for like all hands meetings, and when something is wrong, I'm there to fix it. So I'm a little bit scary to them. And I feel bad about that because I don't think there's anything scary about me. I'm an intense guy, but I'm not you're just the boss.
The boss, right? And when you're 24 and you're in your first job and you're an associate at my firm, like everything is scary to you. You don't know what's important and what's not important. Heck, I'm 37. I don't know what's important anymore.
Right. Yeah. So are you in a position where you can kind of do whatever you want to do in terms of, it seems like obviously you're very passionate about the political game, which we'll get into in a little bit, but are you at a position where you can kind of do the stuff that you want to do now?
I'm getting there. Yeah. I don't know, not 100%. Sometimes podcasters make me drive an hour and a half away from my house. I
didn't make him do anything.
You didn't make me do nothing. No, I'm just giving you shit. I think I'm really lucky and blessed to be around a lot of A+ players who believe in what we're trying to do, that want to do the work, and allow me the freedom to go do other interesting stuff. Because what I've learned about myself is, you asked whether politics got me into entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship got me into politics. I think it's probably both a little bit. I like building stuff. I like creating things. Same. And I like finding a problem and solving it. So you mentioned endless urgency and the content creation that we're doing. A lot of that is solving a problem in the Democratic Party, which is Democrats are bad at making content. Democrats are afraid to go into uncomfortable spaces and have tough conversations with Jesse Waters and Piers Morgan and Tommy Lahren and all these others. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm a decent enough debater. I'm going to go try to see if I can do it. And so far, I haven't embarrassed myself yet. Yeah. Still time, though.
There's always time for that.
There's always time.
Yeah. And then when it comes to political fundraising, obviously you know a thing or two about that, right? Yes. Take us back to, because it seems like Obama in 2028 was the first one to really, like, at least to my knowledge, was the first one to really use social media to win an election. Yeah. And now it seems like you have to use social media and content to win elections, right? Yeah. Did you see something different from Barack's campaign, and what works in general from a political fundraising standpoint?
Yeah, so we went in a span of, so I was politically active in 2004, but it was mostly just like in my high school. But Howard Dean, who ran for president in the Democratic primary, a lot of people know him as the guy. That's what he's unfortunately best known for. Okay. Do you know what I'm talking about? No. So he was the front runner and he lost in Iowa. He finished in like second or third. And he gave this speech that I would argue to this day, you can go watch it, it was fine. But he just let out this roaring yippee kind of thing at the end of his speech.
That's why he lost.
He got, no, for real though, he got hammered in the media for being like a crazy person. And now you'd watch it, and after you see Donald Trump and many other politicians, you'd go, why are people upset about this? Yeah. But he lost, but he had this great social media program, this great digital fundraising program that raised a ton of money. And Obama sort of took most of that model and then scaled it up in a way that Hillary Clinton and John Edwards could not in 2007, 2008. And that model became the core of what I started to do for my clients. So I got to learn a little bit by watching. And then I started to go, I think in my first race that was really mine, it was like 2010 for a Senate candidate in North Carolina, and raised like $1.2 million or $2 million or something like that. And that to them was like an unbelievable rush of cash that they had never expected. And now these campaigns raise $300 million. And Bernie raised $300 million in 2016.
That's so crazy, man.
It's nuts.
How much is focused on raising the money versus getting the right message out there that is going to help them win the election?
Yeah, for most campaigns, the money is more important. Yeah. They treat, and this is why my company is very different than I think a lot of the other companies in the spaces. Most campaigns treat their supporters online like ATM machines. And that I don't think is like a breaking news headline. Like if you get a text message from a campaign, it's extremely transactional.
For sure.
My clients come to me, like my firm is named Authentic specifically because I'm not going to write content that is vapid and boring and basic. So I do Adam Schiff, and you can feel however you want about Adam Schiff and Adam's politics, but if you get an email or a text message from him, they are in his voice. He cares about what is being said to you. He signs off on them himself. And that's the type of model that we specialize in. We work with Gretchen Whitmer, who's the governor of Michigan. Like her emails are very different than Adam's on purpose. You go to not all of my competitors, but most of them, you'll find that it's the same email every day. They swap out the names, they swap out the addresses, they swap out a couple other things, but it's the same basic fundamental email. And there's no relationship being built. And that drives me crazy because the transactional nature of our politics is part of the reason it's really, really broken.
Right. So what did Obama do in 2008? No, 2008.
Yeah.
What did he do that was so good from a social media standpoint or a raising money standpoint, or just because it seemed like he was out there?
Yeah.
And McCain maybe wasn't as much.
Yeah. I call this candidate alignment, which is basically is a smarter way, maybe not a smarter way, but a more different way of saying the right man for the right moment, which is he was able to resonate with people online in ways that a lot of other candidates couldn't. So people were excited to get an email from him. His campaign was a lot less risk averse than a lot of others. So they took a lot of risks. I mean, I remember I forget exactly what the concept is, but there's the idea that there was a certain point where Obama could do anything and it would be successful. Like at one point, Obama was running, I think, fundraising ads inside of Halo on Xbox. When you would play online, you'd be killing your friends in Halo, and in the background there'd be like an Obama ad. And they were positive expected value for them. They were making money on that.
Wow.
And if I did that for any of my candidates in the last 20 years, there's no way that would have worked. But Obama kind of ascended to that level. That's really about him and the message and the moment. And it's part of it. I mean, Trump is the same way. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Donald Trump. We'll probably get into some of that later. No, I'm not a huge fan. It's not hard to figure that out for anybody watching.
I know you're not.
But with Trump, he was aligned for the moment in this last election, and it was because, one, people were frustrated at us, but it was also he could go do a 3-hour interview with Joe Rogan, and that's the medium of the moment. And Kamala Harris couldn't do that. God love her. She just couldn't do it. Her team wouldn't let her.
Why did Kamala Harris not do the Joe Rogan podcast?
I think her team was too risk averse. I think they were afraid to let her go do that. And the other thing with
what did they think would happen?
I don't know. I wasn't on her campaign in this last one. So, I mean, I've known Kamala to be incredibly smart, intelligent human being. Her book's out today if people want to go buy it and read it. But I don't know. I think it was a mistake not to do it.
You think they thought she might say something kind of wacky or something? Or why wouldn't they have confidence in her going on a show like
Democrats writ large have become so risk averse in everything that they do. We're very poll tested. We're trying not to offend anybody. And a lot of Democratic strategists are playing a game of addition by subtraction. They want to be able to like win by carving out certain things, being like, oh, we can get these people here, we can get these people here, and they're not casting a wide net. Right. And Donald Trump came out in the last election and casted the widest possible net that he could. And now he said a lot of stuff that was horrible and ridiculous, and I think he's been a very poor president in the last 9 months, but he casted a wider net than we did, and he went on everything. I actually would argue he was invited to do Call Her Daddy.
Call Her Daddy?
It's not, I mean, it's not for us, so like, whatever. But like, you know, Call Her Daddy, and Kamala did that. I watched it. I thought it was a good episode. Like, Trump was invited to do that as well, and he declined. And I think that was a mistake in the same way that like Rogan was a mistake. Right. Because if you're Trump and you're seeing, wow, I'm getting crushed with women who don't like me, I'm going to go on here and like, 85% of the women who listen to that podcast are absolutely going to hate you. But that 10, 15% that are open to what you have to say are worth reaching. Kamala the same way should have gone on Rogan to do that. And the election was decided by 180,000 votes in 3 states. Right. Trump says it was like a sweeping electoral mandate. It was really close.
Oh, from an electoral standpoint, it was that close.
Yeah,
right?
It was. If 180,000 people in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan vote differently, Kamala Harris is the president right now.
Yeah, because I think you look at the total numbers, which I think was off by a couple million. But you look at the electoral, which is really how it's measured,
he won
right?
the popular vote by whatever,
a couple million or something like that.
A couple million, He's still never gotten over 50%, which like I'll hang my hat on forever. But like, you know, we lost. I'm not. There's no moral victories in politics. But it was close, and we were actually really close to a scenario where Kamala would have won the electoral college and Trump would have won the popular vote, which that would have been a disaster. I do not think that large parts of this country would have been able to handle that, and that's not the way you want the first black female president to be elected in the environment that we're in now.
Right.
So it also would have been objectively funny on some levels.
Before we get too into the political stuff, what works in terms of political fundraising? Like if you're going through a campaign right now from scratch and like, we need to raise money for this candidate so they can do all these different things, get them in office. What are you thinking? Like, is it obviously social media, but like, what are you booking them on podcasts? Like, what's kind of the strategy?
Yeah. So I'll liken it to a good movie. And if you're watching a Marvel movie, and I'm a big Marvel movie guy, you need a hero that you find compelling and interesting. You need a villain that has like a good story worth telling, and you need like a good overall plot to it.
Yeah.
And so for a candidate, you got to have a candidate that people believe in. Say it's Barack Obama, people are like, hell yeah. And then, with John McCain in 2008, probably not the villain that you want, but like Sarah Palin was the villain of that election.
She definitely was.
Yeah, right. I mean, anybody under like 35 is like, who are you talking about?
That's kind of crazy.
But and then the story is the presidential election, right? It's a competitive race, it's the future of the country. It's very self-evident. So when you go down ballot, that's the same thing too. It's if you're Colin Allred, who was the Democratic candidate for Senate in Texas last cycle, really attractive guy, really smart, former football player, former member of Congress. You've got an enemy in Ted Cruz. Like Ted Cruz is the easiest person to raise money against on the planet, and he's just very unlikable, in my opinion, at least to online liberals. And then the races in Texas, it's a big Senate race. You have all those things. You immediately have that. Now you have all the makings of the story that you want to tell, which is the race is close. We needed to flip the Senate, like blah, blah, blah. Colin's got a story. Ted Cruz is going to be doing stuff that people don't like. And then in the old days, and I would say that I'll split my career up in two. So 10 years ago, before the 2016 election, the way you would build your online fundraising apparatus is you would use like Facebook ads, and you would ask people to sign petitions and surveys and stuff like that.
Right.
And then after 2016, where Russia interfered in the election and pushed fake news, and I know a lot of people will get mad at me because that is objectively what happened, and Facebook actually just basically shut off all political advertising on the platform. So it was very hard to be successful to reach the people that you wanted. So instead, a lot of Democratic campaigns have moved to bulk list buying. So we'll go out and we'll spend $100,000 to buy a bunch of emails. And I liken the difference to, there's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer and Ned Flanders are fishing. And I don't remember the reason why, but Ned like very carefully puts a worm on a fishing pole, throws it out there, waits, catches a fish, and Homer drops a stick of dynamite into the water and it explodes, and then a bunch of fish.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and so that's the difference between how fundraising used to be and how it is now. So a lot of times we're grabbing 100,000 emails, knowing half of them will never open, and we're hoping that 15,000 of them open and become engaged subscribers to the email list. And I absolutely hate it. I don't have any alternative. I've been trying to come up with a solution to that for 10 years, but to get the scale of the amount of money that is necessary for these campaigns is really, really important. And I'll add one more other thought on this, which is online fundraising is a more significant part of the total pie for Democratic candidates than Republicans. Donald Trump obviously raised a lot of money online, but most Republicans don't. And it's probably worth anywhere from 30 to 50% of how much a Democratic candidate raises, where it's probably more like 10 or 20% for a Republican. So it's almost twice as much. And part of that is we're not taking corporate PAC money anymore. The billionaire class doesn't support the Democratic Party the way that it used to, although we have our fair share of billionaires that support us. And so it's more important. And so the pressure is more on Democratic strategists. And that's why everything feels so intense in people's inboxes. I think it's been a net negative to democracy overall. I think we run the most ethical programs in the space, but like I'm sort of embarrassed by where the industry has turned.
So it sounds like you guys come in and kind of develop a brand story or a narrative for the campaign first, right? Is that something when you come into campaign, do the elected officials or the soon-to-be elected officials, the ones that are running, do they have sort of that narrative and the hero and the villain and that kind of stuff? Or are they coming to you guys saying, hey, we don't really have much?
Yeah, very few of them do. You would be shocked at the number of candidates that don't know why they're running. You'd be shocked at the number who don't know.
I actually wouldn't be shocked because we do marketing and companies are like, we have no clue why we're different or what we stand for.
Right. Imagine if like you were selling for Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola is like, we don't know what Coke stands for. I'm like, that's like every conversation I have with a politician. I'm like, why are you running? And I'm like, you should be able to articulate that for me in like 2 or 3 sentences. Like, I am this, I'm this unique person, blah, blah, blah. Can't do that. So I do have to do that for a lot of my clients. Now, some of them come fully formed and fleshed out. Some of them that fleshed outness happens over time, right? I work with Mallory McMorrow, who's running for Senate in Michigan. I think she's one of the brightest young stars Democrats have. She has such a clear understanding of who she is and what she believes in that she's one of the few candidates that actually will push back and tell me no when I say something. I might go, you should say this, or you should put this out in an email. And she'll go, I don't talk that way. That's not how I treat people. And I'm delighted when candidates do that because I'm always trying to fill the gaps. And I've had candidates that have never looked at a single thing I've ever written for them and have had no problem putting out a fundraising email in their name. I've had candidates that Dick Durbin, who's our senator here in Illinois, who's retiring this year, used to hand write edits to fundraising emails. So his team, I would send it over in a Google Doc, they'd print it, he'd make handwritten edits, and they would fax it to me.
Wow.
I had to buy a fax machine, and I preferred that. Maybe not structurally, but I preferred it like ethically to what a lot of campaigns do, which is they don't care what we send.
So you're big on Substack, obviously.
I am.
You've got over 1 million subscribers there. Is that something that from the political sphere that people should be doing?
Yeah, I think every political candidate should be on Substack right now, Democrat or Republican. In this, there's been a massive exodus off of X. And Elon Musk doesn't want to hear this, but there are fewer and fewer people who are actually on X who are engaging. A lot of what you see is if you go look at like a Matt Walsh or one of these like MAGA influencer guys, and you see they're getting like 500,000 retweets on their post, a lot of it's fake. And it's a lot of bots. It's a lot of foreign bots, and they're elevating and lifting these people up. I'm not saying there isn't real people on there who are engaging. It's still a very important site. I have my own X account at Mike Nellis if you want to follow. But a lot of that engagement is fake. And so a lot of those people, particularly like left and left of center people, moved to Substack. They also went to Blue Sky, which, you know, a lot has been written about Blue Sky not being a very fun place. It's kind of that one liberal. All Blue Sky is like that one liberal that drives you crazy. I haven't tried it.
I have no clue. Like, I've heard about it, but
yeah, I'll give you like my example of it because I was for, I don't know if I still am. I was like in their top 100 people who were followed. I have like 165 or something on Blue Sky. And last year, towards the tail end of the college football season, I'm a big Notre Dame football fan. I was traveling the country to follow them in the playoffs, and the game was over. I was at the bar, or I was in my hotel room. I'm watching the other game. It was Texas and Arizona State, probably. And they had a Pat McAfee live stream where you could watch Pat and the little crew that he has from his show. And I was tweeting like, man, I'm really enjoying this Pat McAfee, stream more than the regular commentators. And basically like got like 400 comments from people that were like, Pat McAfee's a sexist and a horrible human being. And how dare you say anything good about him? And I'm just like, man, I'm trying to watch football. Yeah. Like, and it's not that I'm not with you. Like I'm with you like on the issues and stuff, but like, can I just turn my brain off every now and again? And Blue Sky is kind of hard to do that. It's like anytime you say anything, it's like, you're kind of against it. And X is the same way, but in the other way. I feel like if I say the sky is blue, a bunch of people in MAGA world are going to tell me sky is green. And I'm just sort of over the extremism on both of it. And I'm not, there are things I'm pretty liberal on and there are things I'm pretty conservative on. Like I tend to believe in a flexible mindset. Like, do you have a good idea? Like we haven't solved a real problem in America in like a decade, it feels like. So you got a good idea? Can we build a road? I don't know. So Substack, I found it's like a good way to build a relationship with people. Substack's they've got a Twitter sort of similar thing integration called Notes. They've got their newsletter format. They've got live video. And I've really enjoyed just getting to know my audience on that. It's really cool. Mm-hmm.
Why do you feel like the country is so divided right now? It feels like exactly what you just said. It's like, oh, you're not on my team. So anything that person says, or if you agree with that person and I'm not on that team, I don't even want to hear it. Yeah. And it's instant negativity on both sides.
I think it's the algorithms more than anything.
Really?
I think there is a class of people in this country, of very wealthy individuals who control the algorithms that basically dictate our entire lives.
Who are those people, though?
Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, list goes on and on, right? The people who are running these social media sites.
You think people are controlling them?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not, you're maybe two steps deeper into the conspiracy theory than I am. I'm just
asking questions. I don't even know anything.
My view of it, though, is like we're living in a society where you are incentivized to be the most bombastic version of yourself. And I fall in this. Like, I'm a content creator. I go viral. Like, I currently have a tweet that's got like 200,000 retweets on Twitter. I don't know how much of it's real, but it's like Tylenol is going to sue the fuck out of the United States into bankruptcy or something like that. And like, funny, just something I said out loud and I went, and then I wrote it down and I posted it. But like, I can kind of always see the way to be like, more bombastic and really go down that rabbit hole. And you see this with this, like what happened to Charlie Kirk in the last 10 days. So Kirk's murder is horrendous. It's an attack on all Americans. I did not like Charlie Kirk in this life. I didn't agree with anything, but like he doesn't deserve that. And that's not what should happen. Yeah. But now you've got the entire conservative ecosystem from the minute it happened, saying the most bombastic, ridiculous stuff to blame Democrats for this when we still don't even really know anything about the shooter. And then on the left, you have a ton of creators out there that are talking about how the guy's a groiper, which for those who don't know is like a very, very far right person associated with like a Nick Fuentes type. And they're like, here's this evidence and let me get this. Ooh, I found this Facebook post and it might be him, but it's not him. And they're going back and forth and they're trying to define the shooter, all so that they can make their career rewards. So they can get more engagement and more growth and become more of a focal point. And none of these people are telling the truth.
But is that an algorithm thing or is that a people thing?
I think it's incentives.
But isn't the algorithm just a reaction of how the people view the comment? If they stop on the post, like the post, comment on it, it gets shown to more people.
Sure, but the algorithm's also pushing it into your feed. And then it's incentivizing the creators to act in a certain way.
But it's pushing your feed based on what you're interested in usually.
Not really. I feel like it's pushing more the other way. I feel like you're getting a lot of things that are shoved in your face. And over time, that's changing your perception.
But isn't it kind of creating an ecosystem where it's publishing or pushing things in your feed that it thinks you're interested in?
Right.
Based on the interest graph.
But it thinks you're interested in
because of past behavior.
It's also downgrading things that you might be interested in too. And so what I'm worried about is, again, it's an incentives thing. So if the best way for me to go viral is to post the most bombastic thing that I can, so that I can be like, Charlie Kirk was murdered by a dangerous trans person, blah, 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 all that nonsense you see. And I'm going to post that because all I care about is making money. So now you're self-regulated as a creator. Like, I'm making my own morality decisions. And because I want to try to get it right and not lie to people or be the worst version of myself, I grow more slowly because of that. I mean, I have a big audience. I have like 2 million people across all platforms, but like I could be a lot bigger if I wanted to be. And I think that is the algorithms. And I also think that class of people want us at each other's throats. And I think that the billionaire class, and look, I'm not much of like a class war guy, but I am coming around to this idea, which is there are very wealthy and very powerful people who want you to hate your neighbor. They want you to be mad at your dad because he voted for Trump. They want you to be mad at your college friend because they voted for the wrong candidate. They want you to think less of them, and they want you to be more isolated. And so now we're more connected than we've ever been before. Like, I can pick up the phone and call anybody that I want. I can have a FaceTime with them. Yeah. I can, go live right now and get 100,000 people watching if I really want to. I'm more connected, but I'm more isolated at the same time because that connection is not the same. And so we're angrier at each other. And I'm tired of it. Like, I'm tired. I don't hate people who voted for the other candidate. I don't.
Yeah.
No.
But who are the people that are doing that, you're saying?
I think it's the
same people?
Yeah. I think it's.
So you think Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and a group of people are dividing the entire country?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. And I think it's the algorithms. Now, maybe they don't mean to.
But what evidence do you have of that, though?
I'm just looking at how.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just
looking at how the world works. I mean, if you're asking me for like a scientific study that shows it to you, I don't have it. But I'm going, man, everything in society is incentivizing you to lie about your life. You want to be an influencer? The path to become an influencer is not to become really good at something and like build a business, come up with an idea, sell it. It's to like make funny TikTok videos. So now everything is geared towards that. You want to be like somebody who people listen to about politics. You aggressively push things that aren't true. And it's really unbelievable to me. And it's wrong. And like I'm super frustrated with it. And then I feel like we all hate each other. And like I'm not going to do it anymore. And I do think the algorithms play a huge role in that. Yeah. I don't think it's the only thing. Like, obviously we have politicians that have let us down. We have institutions that have let us down too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Leadership issues.
Right. Like Congress has not regulated social media in any meaningful way. And there was a hearing either last year or at the tail end of 2023 where a bunch of parents whose kids had like hurt themselves because of Facebook were testifying in front, I believe, of Mark Zuckerberg for this. And he had to listen to all of that.
I think I remember those.
Right. And it was really horrible. But like, Congress was blaming Mark Zuckerberg, and don't get me wrong, Zuckerberg is absolutely responsible for that as the founder of Facebook. Where's Congress's responsibility in not regulating that? They're doing the same thing with AI right now. AI is killing the job market right now. Zero regulation. Zero chance. This is the least effective Congress in my lifetime, which is really saying something.
What would you want them to do to Facebook or TikTok or whatever else, though?
I would want them to create... Well, one, I believe in like algorithmic transparency. Like, I think that they should have to put online what the algorithm is and what it says. And they're not going to want to do that because those are proprietary things that they want to protect. But I think people have a right to know what the algorithm says and what it's gearing towards. And then there should be some sort of government oversight of that. Not because I want the government to like stifle, like, look, the government is not a perfect institution. And you're talking to a Democrat, so the knock on me will be, I want the government to fix and solve anything. But I would argue the knock on the Republicans is, well, when this version of the Republican Party really does believe in big government, like with Donald Trump, they love using the power of the federal government to do whatever they want. You can feel however you want about Jimmy Kimmel, and I don't particularly find Jimmy Kimmel funny, but a couple days ago, Donald Trump used the power of the FCC to get Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air. Now he's coming back on the air tonight at the time that we're recording this.
Yeah, that wasn't right.
Yeah, it wasn't right.
He didn't even say anything that crazy either.
No, I really didn't think what he said
I
was
don't
that
think
bad.
Jimmy Kimmel's funny either.
No.
But I looked at what he said and I was like, how did that get him?
I was like, this is it?
Yeah.
I couldn't. I was like, this is the
I thought he said something crazy like Charlie, like just something out of this world. And I saw that and I was like, all right, whether you agree with that or not, doesn't he have the right to say that?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, he doesn't have the right to a talk show. Like, that's the thing. It's like, so if ABC as if ABC as Jimmy Kimmel's employer was, you've said something wrong, we believe it's wrong, they have the right to suspend him. What happened though?
Right.
That wasn't. ABC didn't think it was problematic. They were like, maybe we don't like it, but we don't think it's problematic. The FCC stepping in and saying, we'll take away your license, that's what's wrong.
Right.
So conservatives have been comparing it to what happened to Roseanne Barr. For those that don't remember, 7 years ago, Roseanne Barr took too much Ambien, said something incredibly racist on the internet. I think about Valerie Jarrett, who was an Obama advisor. and then got herself fired from a pretty popular revival of her TV show, right? And you could argue that that wasn't fair, or that maybe they should have given her some grace or an opportunity to apologize. Fine, I'll accept those arguments. I don't necessarily agree with them. But ABC said, you are too much of a risk to the business. We're going to fire you. And if you listen to Roseanne, and this is what Roseanne said like 3 days ago when this Jimmy Kimmel stuff happened, she was like, Obama got me fired. The Obama administration got me fired. Donald Trump was president when she got fired. So they're like so much of the, and you know, I don't know how deep you want me to go in this, but like so much of my problem with like today's Republican Party is it's all built on grievance. Everything is like, it's not about solving a problem. It's not about improving your life. It's I'm mad about this thing that happened to this person at this time, and I'm going to get my revenge on it. And I get it. I'm mad about a lot of stuff too. There's plenty of things that have happened in my political career that I stick to. I'm still mad about what happened with Brett Kavanaugh getting appointed to the Supreme Court. But when I wake up in the morning, I'm not thinking about how to avenge that. I'm thinking about how to help people put food on the table. I'm thinking about how to help them retire with dignity, because people are struggling right now and they can't even survive, let alone like thrive and take a vacation. And as entrepreneurs, we should be really worried about this, because I need people to buy my products.
Right.
You know, I need somebody that's going to
the company. Yeah.
I run a small dollar online fundraising company. If people can't afford to give $5 to the candidates, I believe them, because the economy's so bad, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
My candidates aren't going to hire me. So we need an economy that functions appropriately. And I want to solve that. And I feel like today's Republican Party is so focused on grievance and is just focused on that. And they're so mad about stuff, they're not solving anything. And it is not to say the Democratic Party is perfect. We can spend all day talking about that too. I have a lot of tough words from my party. I feel like I got so far away from the original question.
No, it's fine. It's good.
This is what happens when you bring me on. I just rant and
I do think that social media, it's obviously done a lot of good and things like that, but I do think it's done quite a bit of harm too, in terms of our culture, society, that kind of stuff. But to me, I think part of the reason we're so divided too is we just lack leadership. I think we don't sometimes know who we are anymore. You know, it's like kind of two sides fighting at each other, and it's like, what do we stand for as a country anymore? And who are we? And I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I think, and I'm not an expert in this. This isn't my world, but just from an outsider, I guess not an outsider, but a citizen looking in and observing what's happening, it just feels like, where are the candidates or the people that really care about the country and that want to bring us together and that push their ego aside and are willing to do what's right and you know what I mean? And bring both sides together. Because a lot of the words have been said around doing that, but it doesn't feel like it actually happens. Right. You know?
Nobody wants to solve any issue in America today. Like, it's too risky to solve an issue. So we're just languishing in this sort of unknown. And you use a word that's really important to me, which is citizen. And I think that people don't know how to be a citizen in this country at this moment of time. And again, I come back to incentive structures, because in my view, everything in society right now is gearing you towards being the most selfish version of yourself. And my dad used to have this concept of, my dad's a big conservative, voted for Donald Trump 3 times, is a 34-year veteran of the FBI. And my dad would say, I have a responsibility to take care of my people, okay, which is me, my brothers, my mom. That's it. He's like, I don't have any responsibility to anybody else unless I have the time to do it. And when I was younger, I thought that was really selfish. And now as I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, I think that that's right, but I want to go a little bit further in it. And to me, I'm trying to come up with this model of how to be a citizen in America today. I haven't quite fleshed it out, so I'll say it here, and then people can tell me why I'm wrong. But there is a concentric circle in the middle here, which is yourself. Sure. Like, you have a responsibility to make sure that you are mentally, physically, digitally strong. Spiritually strong, too, is another one that I think is really important. And then your next concentric circle is your family and your community, and then your local community, and then your nation. And so part of the thing is, and I think social media plays a role in this, is one, you're incentivized to be the worst version of yourself. So like, nobody's going to give you, 10,000 likes on your Facebook page for like going and picking up trash on the street, but they're definitely going to give you 10,000 likes saying something nasty about somebody they hate on the internet.
But on the flip side, I've seen a lot of videos, and I've watched some that have gone viral, people helping homeless people,
which is nice,
giving back. And
but I think for every one of those,
but that's more in my feed than that stuff is, than the other stuff is. Right. But that's what I'm saying.
But imagine if the algorithms were reprogrammed to incentivize people to be like that. Because the problem is, yes, you're right. There's a ton of stuff that goes viral like that. There's also funny cat videos and stupid shit. And I've been rewatching, my wife's been joking, I've been rewatching The Godfather 1 TikTok at a time. Because every 3-1 is just like another Godfather movie. And
third one sucked.
It's not bad. It's really a really good movie. We're going to become like a stereotype. We're just two dudes talking about The Godfather. There's a whole scene in the Barbie movie. Have you seen the Barbie movie?
Yeah.
That scene where they have to talk about The Godfather. Like, I literally slunk in my chair feeling like I'd been under attack in the middle of that movie. But imagine if the algorithm was reversed. So instead of 1 out of every 10 things, if it's 1 to 10 of like nasty political, cultural response stuff to, good human stuff, and you flip that around. Now you would be incentivizing people to act in a particular way, to show different parts of their lives, and different people would rise to the top. I would argue that right now, and this is true on both sides, I don't think this is just a Republican issue, it's the worst type of people are rising to the top. People who do not care, and there's one layer deeper on that I'll go. You mentioned earlier I do a lot of TV. I'm on Fox News. I go on MSNBC. I met with a producer for a very prominent show. I'm not going to say which one. And they asked me what my character was. They were like, what's your character that you're bringing to the show? And I'm like, what? I don't have a character. Like, this is me. Like, the same person that you're talking to is the same person Jesse Waters is going to talk to when I'm on the show tomorrow. So I'm not interested in like modulating who I am in the moment. Now, I've come up with like an answer to this. I'm a big pro wrestling fan. I've loved pro wrestling since I was a kid. I still watch it to this day. There's a guy named Kevin Owens who's a professional wrestler, and his gimmick is that he watches the show. Like, he remembers the things that happens and he brings it back up, because in wrestling, like, nothing matters. Like, it's like you could be a good guy one day, a bad guy the next day. You can, run somebody's father over with a car, and then next week you're in a tag match with them and nobody cares the wiser. So Kevin will often remind people of that. That's my character relative to what they want, which is I'll come in and remember what happens. I'll remember what you said. I'll remember what Donald Trump said. I'll remember what I said. And I'll come in, but I'm still myself. Like, I'm not modulating who I am based on where I am. I might curse a little bit less here than I do on my show because this is a lot nicer of a setup than mine. But people are playing characters. And I think you're now incentivizing people to bolster their characters, and that's leading everybody down a darker path.
On the algorithm, the social thing, though, when I look at my feed, it pretty much keeps showing me things that I have watched or clicked on or am interested in. So if I'm seeing negative stuff, how much of it is the person choosing to continue to get sucked into that stuff?
I think it depends on the social site. Like, which site are you most likely to be on?
YouTube.
TikTok, so YouTube's
Instagram.
Algorithm, I would argue, is really good at identifying what you like and dislike in the shorts, and it will kind of feed that in and out. Like that's where I get my Godfather clips, right? If you're on X, if you're politically active, if you care about our politics, like, you're probably on X, and you might be on Threads would be the other one. But X's algorithm is aggressively pushing the worst type of person you like. If you log in, you get Laura Loomer stuff like right now. For folks that don't know, Laura Loomer is probably one of the most toxic people on the planet, in my opinion. She's also unfortunately a huge... I don't know who she is. Yeah, exactly. Try to keep it that way would be my advice. But she's got 2 million followers online, and she is a purveyor of conspiracy theory. She's very close to the president of the United States. If you log in, she's the first thing that you see because that's what X's algorithm wants you to see. So that's an example of... I think there's an accidental algorithmic problem, and then there's like intentional. So Elon bought X specifically to put his foot down on the pedal. Now, he would tell you, well, they've been suppressing conservative voices, and all I'm doing is elevating them to prove that there's more conservative voices in the country. And I would argue that that's really not the case. It's probably a perspective conversation. I don't think the data backs that up either. Yeah. But then there's like accidental problems, which is, on Instagram, like, you're going to be incentivized more for posting a photo of you where you appear rich or you appear successful than if you post something about, like, I had a bad day and everything was
But I think
difficult.
that's society's view on that stuff. They think it's cool, right? They're like, I want to be rich. I want to have the Lambo. I want to have this. I think the same thing would happen if in real life. If you drove a Lambo down the street, we're all flashy, nice watches, all this stuff. I think people are going to react. If you're driving a shitty car and trying to help someone, it's not as entertaining.
A little bit. I'll cop to that. Like, I think that's basic human nature. But I'll also say, like, we need more people that are going to step
That's
forward.
what I think a lot of it is. I'm not disputing that certain channels push certain things. I think that'd be naive to not think that.
100%. You want me to argue with a straight face that MSNBC is not a liberal outlet? Like,
and Fox News, obviously conservative.
Fox News, very moderate. Fair and balanced. They'll remind you. They'll remind you 10 times an hour.
That's funny. That's actually funny.
One of the Fox hosts sent me a T-shirt that said fair and balanced, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
So that's funny. But my point is, I think it is more of a culture thing and an identity thing of the United States. And you need leadership and people to bring this country together. And I don't know how you do that. Right. I don't know, but it's not what's happening now.
Well, I'll tell you, some of it is that we've got to reach out to the other side. Like, we just can't. And like, my party, again, being
egos have to go aside.
Egos have to go aside for sure. My party's so risk averse and so afraid to, like,
Kamala's
got
to go on the freaking Joe Rogan
show.
Kamala
has to go on Joe Rogan.
Will
they
change that? Will they do that next time? Do you think they'll?
Yes. Whoever our nominee is, and I have no idea who that person is going to be.
You don't have any idea?
I have no idea.
We had to guess. I give you $1 billion if we get it right.
No. $1 billion?
Yeah. I'll give it to you.
I need that writing and notarized.
If I had it in cash, and I said, if you guess who the next...
If you have $1 billion, what the hell are you doing running this podcast?
Well, I don't, but I said if I did.
So you have...
If I did
is the key This is like a Scott's Tots problem. Like, now you have like 3 years to find $1 billion.
Yes. If I had $1 billion here, and I said, you will get this.
Yeah.
if you get it right? Who's going to be the next Democratic candidate?
I really don't know because
Really?
it's such a crapshoot. And like, I can tell you,
Is that just you just want to say it?
I can tell you who I'd want it to be. No, I
Okay,
don't. I mean,
okay.
I think if it was today, it'd be Gavin Newsom because Newsom is the hottest thing since sliced bread. But I don't particularly care for Newsom,
Right.
and I don't think that Newsom will last the moment. Like Newsom is the number one guy right now because he's fighting on this gerrymandering stuff in California, which is ridiculous. I mean, I'm glad that he's doing it relative to what happened in Texas, but what happened in Texas was egregious, and now Democrats have to respond. But you know, if it's me and I'm just plucking somebody that I want like a Gretchen Whitmer. And she's the governor of Michigan, serious person, works across the aisle, gets shit done, cares about people. I've gotten to see her behind the scenes. Like, that's the kind of Democrat that I want. I want somebody like out of Washington. I think the Washington establishment in both the Democratic and Republican parties are broken. And I want somebody that like actually has had to do some work and build something with their hands. So it'd be like her. I love J.B. Pritzker. I think he's a very good governor for the state of Illinois. I like Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania. I like Andy Beshear in Kentucky. So that's what I'd be looking for. And I would add, my one addendum to that is I would add Pete Buttigieg on there. So I always say it's the governors plus Pete is like where I would be looking for the future direction of the Democratic Party. But I don't know. I think our party is wide open. I think the Republican Party is wide open. I wouldn't be shocked if the 2028 presidential election was like Stephen A. Smith versus Tucker Carlson.
It wouldn't be shocking anymore.
If a time traveler showed up and told me that, I'd go, yeah, it seems right. I'm not sure there's any candidate.
Stephen A. Smith, a Democrat?
Stephen A. Smith, I think, is an independent that flirts with running as a Democrat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like his kind of.
He seems like in the middle.
He's playing a character. He's doing.
You think he is?
He's doing his thing. They all are.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Maybe not every one of them, but like most of them.
Yeah. How do you get on these big TV shows and stuff, by the way?
I have a booking agent.
Really?
And it was like start small.
Do you pay to get on these shows?
I pay the booking agent to like build those relationships for me.
Okay. And they go out, I got a guy that fits what you're looking for.
Yeah, and then they sort of pitch the stories and stuff like that. But I have to deliver on the smaller stuff first. So like what people haven't seen is maybe not everybody, but a lot of people see me on like Jesse Waters or something like that. But you haven't seen me on like Dr. Phil used to have a 24-hour news network. It was called Merit Media.
Really?
And like last year, towards the tail end of the year, I was like their go-to Democrat. I was on the show like every 48 hours probably, and I would absolutely, I say this with love, I would absolutely smoke whatever Republican they had on that day because it was like the B team was what they were bringing.
Oh, okay.
BT might be generous, frankly, to who they were bringing on. Now, Merit Media actually went bankrupt at the beginning of this year. And Dr. Phil's facing like a massive lawsuit for like back pay and stuff like that.
Oh, shit.
But I did that and I was able to put a reel together and go, all right, here's what this guy can do. And then, a couple months ago, I think Harris Faulkner, who has like a daytime show on Fox, was like, all right, let's give him a shot. I got to go on. I did well. Had me back the next week. Next thing I know, I'm doing, that. And, same with like the podcast stuff is like working my way up. I actually just booked my first really big podcast, like where it's like the audience is like
obviously outside of this one.
Well, I'm getting in on the ground
close
floor.
to Joe Rogan here, guys.
I mean, this is like your 6th or 7th episode, right? It's like relatively no.
We've
I
done
was looking
50,
at your YouTube page.
50.
You've done 50?
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta get that YouTube page.
Probably the YouTube page we just started for Founder Talk. I have my own with 14,000 subscribers.
Got it.
The YouTube one we just started.
Okay.
And then we have LinkedIn, TikTok.
Okay. See, I thought I guess I just assumed this was new because I looked at the YouTube.
Yeah, if you go on Spotify, you'll see all of them.
Okay, awesome,
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, good for you.
What show are you on?
Say again.
What show did you get on?
Which one?
The big one you said.
I can't say it.
Oh, you can't say it.
I can't say it.
Oh.
Yeah.
What did they tell you can't say anything?
They told me to not say anything.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's.
I haven't shot it yet.
I would know it.
I don't know.
Oh.
I mean, the landscape is so bifurcated.
Yeah.
I feel like there's somebody could have 50 million followers and you wouldn't know who they were.
Oh, totally.
So all the time, somebody's like, "Did you see that show with my dad used to say, I'm worried that this is offensive for some reason. I don't know. My dad would say Joe Shit the Ragman, would just be the name that he used when he didn't have a name. So if that's offensive, blame my father because I don't know what it means. People would just be like, "What's that Star Wars meme where they're like, so and so is back," and it's like a funny name. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
All right, I'm too much of a dork. You seem a lot cooler than me.
Star Wars?
Yeah, there's like
I've seen all the Star Wars.
It's like there's like a fake name where people are like, I think it's like Glub Shido or something like that. And anytime Star Wars fans are really excited about an Easter egg, people are like, "Oh, look, Glub Shido's back," and it's just like
I've never heard of it. Yeah.
All right, I'm further down the nerd rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Star Wars is cool, dude.
Please cut that.
It's no, we're not cutting anything.
No, cut it. Please cut it. I feel embarrassed.
We're not cutting. Mike, what makes you a Democrat?
What makes me a Democrat? I think the Democratic Party is the only party that cares about whether or not you have a good paying job, can retire with dignity, can start a family on your own terms, can take a vacation every now and again. And I think I said this earlier, I have a pretty flexible mindset. Like I'm not ideologically driven. When I wake up in the morning, I'm not like, I'm a liberal or I'm a socialist or I'm a capitalist. Like I'm just like a human being. So you got a good idea, I'm willing to try it out. And so, but I think when I've looked at it in my 2 decades of working here, the last Republican candidate that I could have supported was probably John McCain, maybe Mitt Romney. And I cannot vote for Donald Trump. I believe Donald Trump is a man of low character, but it isn't so much about that. It's what my party represents. And my party has always been the party of the working class. When the working class did not vote for us in this last election, we lost their trust. We have to earn it back. But for me, it's we actually care. And our solutions aren't always right. Sometimes we get it wrong. Sometimes we go a little bit too far. There's a lot of people in my party that I think are a little bit big brother on certain things.
Yeah.
And I think it's really silly, but I think it's the only party that actually cares. And I'd rather be part of a group of people that are deeply flawed, that are trying to improve your life, even if you don't always agree with it, than what I see in the Republican Party is like, what is the signature policy achievement of Donald Trump in the last 9 months that has improved your life? Because he's got the tariffs, which are not working, and they're making everything more expensive. And he's denying, by the way, that everything's more expensive. And
we probably shouldn't say
that's pretty good. I'll do mine. Let's see if I
the
can.
greatest thing.
That's really good. You should, that you should go back. All right, I'll go. Hillary Clinton. I like
a nasty
woman. Yeah.
Probably one of the worst ones.
Oh shit, that's really good. You should take that on the road. I'll work on my Obama, then we'll come back and do the debate that everybody wants to know. It's probably offensive for me to do Obama.
So is your stance is that the Republican Party does not care?
This version of the Republican Party does not care.
Or some of the people in the Republican
Party
don't
for
care.
real though, it's like I would
because
ask.
I think people care on both sides. I think there's some people that don't care on both sides, but I think there's probably a good amount of people that care.
In charge of this Republican Party do not care.
So J.D. Vance doesn't care about
J.D. Vance doesn't. I don't believe
the American
people. There's three types of politicians, in my opinion. There's people I know what they believe in because they fleshed it out, and you either like it or you don't.
Yeah.
There's people that don't believe in anything, and that's like Trump. Like Trump doesn't believe in anything other than winning and himself. And then there's a politician that believes in something, and I don't know what it is. Vance is one of those politicians, and I think that's the most dangerous thing. What does J.D. Vance believe in? I don't feel like I know that. I feel J.D. Vance is a chameleon, right? He wanted to be well-liked in liberal circles, so he wrote the book that he wrote, and he went on that cocktail circuit telling his story, which I think now we all kind of know is largely BS. What's the name of his book? Is Hillbilly Elegy. And, that got
There's a movie about that. Yeah.
There's a movie. Yeah, I've never seen the movie.
I
think I read the book a million years ago. But, like, he's kind of a chameleon. Like, he will change what he believes in at any time. I mean, the Epstein stuff is like the perfect example of this because it was like, all throughout the campaign last year, he's like, we're going to release the Epstein files. We're going to tell the truth. We're going to get it out there. And then now he's carrying water for Trump on it. So it's like.
Yeah, what's going on with the Epstein files?
Listen, I am full conspiracy theory down the rabbit hole.
Something's there.
I'm radicalized by the Epstein files probably more than any other Democratic strategist out there. Like release them all. Get them all out there. Yep. Yeah. Even if it hurts my people. If you told me that I had clients on the list, get it out there.
Yeah.
So the only thing I know is I'm not on the list because there's no way I'd be caught dead doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something there.
But again, I think we don't have enough people in this country that run for office because they actually want to solve problems.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And I'll give you an example. I vacationed in Montana this year. I took the family out to Flathead Lake. We went to Yellowstone. We went to Glacier. And one day we were driving down I-94, I think maybe. And if I get that wrong, somebody will yell at me on the internet. But stopped at a coffee shop. And every time we stopped at the coffee shop, I put my phone away and I was reading like a newspaper because I just was enjoying kind of like living in, a different era. So I'm reading the newspaper and there's a story about one of the Doge cuts had cut a funding program for the Flathead County Library for these little Wi-Fi hotspots people like, because internet in Montana is a disaster. It's a complete disaster.
Yeah.
So these hotspots were something you could check out at the library. You could use it to set up a medical appointment, to, look for jobs, to check your email, to, whatever, go on Facebook. And the grant had been cut, so the program was going to go away. Mm-hmm. And a private group of citizens came forward to the head of the library, who was, I believe, a Republican elected official, and was like, we have the funds to keep this going. We want to keep it going. We think it's good for the community. And he said no. And he was like, it's not my job to solve broadband internet access in Montana. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's not your job, man, but like, can you try to solve any issue? Like, the problem is you have a lot of politicians that show up and they're sort of like Selena Meyer from Veep. Like they care about the cocktail circuit. They care about being perceived as a certain type of ideology. They care about, what I'm running for next. Yeah. And they're not thinking about, God, I have this power in front of me right now to make this corner of my world a little bit better. And they don't want to do it. And I'd rather have a Leslie Knope. I know it's kind of a tortured metaphor, but like Leslie Knope would solve whatever problem was in front of her, whether it was her job or not.
Yeah.
And that's being a public servant. And
who are some good Republicans that you think do want to make the country better?
Yeah. I've always liked Mitt Romney. I didn't vote for him in 2012, obviously, but I always liked him.
Yeah.
Adam Kinzinger would be the other one that I really like.
You think they're genuinely trying to make the country a better place?
Yeah.
They care about people.
I think Adam Kinzinger definitely cares about it for sure. I mean, Mitt Romney, I think by now everybody knows that he's a patriot, or at least most rational people know.
Right. But assuming both parties care to make the country better.
Yeah.
What makes you
Big
more...
assumption, in my opinion.
Yeah, it could be.
Because there's a lot of people on my side that are not interested in solving problems at all.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned you watched the episode of my show with my dad. By the way, endlessurgency.com. People can go find it. Watch the episode with my dad if you want to see me argue with a Republican. But my dad did like a 10-minute rant on how Democrats don't want to solve gun control in America. And he's like, your people won't do it because they don't want to solve it. And like, I listened to my dad and I'm like, I don't have a good argument for that because like, it was objectively right. And my dad is a gun-toting Republican. Like but he agrees we should have gun control to like protect our kids.
For sure, yeah.
He wants I've got a 6-year-old boy. He wants his grandson protected in school.
Right.
And Democrats have had power. We've controlled all the chambers before and we haven't done it. So I mean, I don't blame people for going, what's the Democratic Party done for me lately? Because I don't have a good answer for you. Yeah.
I don't think either side has really done a ton for that.
No. Well, the Republican Party doesn't want to solve that problem at all.
Well, like even the mental health thing, I think we can all get behind that. There's probably some extra layers that people need to go through from a mental health perspective to get guns in their hands, because it seems like every time there's one of these shootings, it just comes back to a person that's not very stable to begin with.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem like we don't talk about those things.
We don't
that's
talk
not
about
even talked about. You know what I mean?
We don't talk about we talk about it, but we don't do anything about it. And this is what drives me nuts. Like this Charlie Kirk thing Charlie Kirk is a victim of the same thing that's happened in school shootings all across America, which is like a young man, lonely and isolated, steeped in gun culture and gamer culture, gets radicalized by something online, hyper fixated on something and does something that he shouldn't do because he has access to weapons. And Republicans fall into their camp and they go, okay, well, it's all mental health. We need to do something about mental health. They talk about it. They don't do anything. Democrats get wrapped up in the same gun talking points we've had since Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
And nobody makes any bit of progress when in reality, it's a giant yes and. We should be doing stuff on mental health. We should be having a tough conversation on guns. We should be talking about how to secure soft spaces like our schools. We should be talking about gamer culture. We should be talking about gun culture. We should be talking about what happens on the internet with all these young men being lonely and isolated and becoming radicalized. Like this is a thing that is very, very real. And instead with the Kirk stuff, everything about the Kirk stuff is like, it's a Democrat who's trying to kill us and they're all coming to get us and Donald Trump's calling us scum and stuff like that. And like, this kid wasn't even a Democrat. He wasn't. And now, again, I don't think that abdicates us of our responsibility to be better as citizens in this, but I want to talk about solutions. And I want to see there be a bill in Congress.
Yeah.
Call it the Charlie Kirk Memorial Bill for all you want. Bring everybody together and let's get 5 or 6 good ideas done to try to solve this and compromise across the board. But nobody wants to do that. You
mentioned young men. What do you think is going on with young men in this country? Because it doesn't seem like they're in a good spot.
No, I don't think that they are. And I think... this is the first generation of young men who are going to make less money than their female counterparts. Right now, women are twice as likely to graduate from college. They're twice as likely to own a home. And it has completely screwed up the ecosystem. And it is the first time, not just in like American history, but like human civilization. Like go find another civilization where like young women are doing better than young men. So men are not geared.
But can we stop and say we're proud of women for doing
that? We should.
That?
Yeah. No, to be clear,
I got 2 daughters, so I'm like, all right,
it's great.
Women are getting their thing. Good.
Nice. How old are your kids?
But 11 and 8.
Okay, if you don't want to say it like...
No, 11 and 8.
11 and 8, that's all.
But I also don't want men to suffer as well.
No, right.
And I feel like they are,
Well, and then there's an additional problem. So we talk about this in the concept of like little girls being president. It's like, it's hard to be something you haven't seen. Well, it's kind of hard to be a man if like everything in society from your dad to pop culture has told you that men are going to be in this stage of society. And then now we're watching young men get crushed in the economy more so than anybody else, not believing in college, not believing in democracy. So it's a huge issue. It's screwed up the dating pool. Like these young men don't know how to get a mate. I think I saw something where it was like some crazy number, like only 30% of Gen Z even like think they're going to be sexually active, let alone are actually sexually active. I'm going to get that statistic wrong, but it was something really alarming about that. And then liberals have made a massive mistake. So in the last 10 years, there's been a well-intentioned push for liberal men to take a back seat, to let more women lead the conversation, let more people of color lead the conversation. And that's right. We shouldn't not do those things. It's just like the conversation, like we shouldn't do anything to get in the way of women making more money than men. Like that's actually amazing progress. However, the issue at hand is what the Republicans did, what the far right has done, and with the Andrew Tates of the world in particular. Do you know who Tate is?
Yeah.
In my opinion, Tate's one of the most dangerous human beings on the planet. Because what Tate advocates to young men is, you are a man, you can take, you can steal, you can control these women, and it's horrible. And there's no liberal counterpoint to that going, well, actually, you should build. And you should create, and you should be of value, and you should protect. And I'm one of the founders of White Dudes for Harris, which is a bit infamous at this point. You either love it or you hated it. And we had Scott Galloway on that. And getting Galloway on, like Galloway's probably more conservative than me for sure, and I'm probably a pretty normie Democrat. Galloway got on, and what he said at the beginning was, I believe the role of a man is to protect and to provide. And the best way for me to do that is to vote for Kamala Harris, because Donald Trump has never protected anyone but himself, and he's never provided for anyone but himself. That was a better 3-sentence answer to why young men should vote for Kamala Harris than anything I saw from the campaign or any other Democratic surrogate. And that was controversial inside the Democratic Party. People were mad at us for platforming Galloway because he has some views that people don't like. But that's roughly it. We need more men who are going to be center or center left advocating for what it means to actually be a man. Like, you're raising 2 little girls.
Yeah.
You're gonna teach them how to be good human beings, and you're gonna want them to obviously they bring home whoever they want, but if they bring home 2 young men, you're gonna want those young men to be a reflection of the type of man you want them to be.
Yeah.
And
but where's the breakdown? Because it seems like by the time they're 18, they've formed their belief, their values, how they're going to interact in society, right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be happening from 0 to 18. Something is breaking down in men.
Screens, I think, is a big part of it too. Again, you're isolated. You don't know what content your kids are getting. I'm terrified.
I think that's a real problem.
To YouTube. Yeah.
I think that's a real problem.
And I think the right's done a really good job of co-opting that. Like at least the far right, to be clear. I'll give you an example. Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Have you ever read his book?
No.
It's like, he has a book. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's like 12 Rules on a Decent Life or something sort of like that. And a lot of them are really good. Like, I've read this book. I think it's good. And the right's been really savvy in this. It's one of the sort of subversive things that they've done. They have moved into self-help culture, where they realize people are struggling, so they create these platforms and these voices that are there to help you, particularly young men. And Jordan Peterson had a video that I saw once, and this is a bit of an exaggeration to be clear, but it was like, the purpose of a man is to be useful and to like go create things in society and to get off the couch and do something meaningful, and like stuff that's like, yeah, you're like, okay, great, I understand. And like the next sentence was like, trans people don't exist and we should lock up all the gays. And then I was like, all right.
He said that?
It wasn't exactly that, to be clear, before I get sued, but it was like something where like the pivot was super hard. It was like, I didn't realize we were talking about that. I thought we were talking about the purpose of life. And there's a bunch of different influencers who were like that. I mean, to a certain degree, Charlie Kirk was like that. Like, Charlie Kirk would do a lot of motivational stuff. He would do a lot of like Christian stuff, and then he would pivot immediately hard into something else. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. There were a lot of people who followed Charlie Kirk just because he talked about Christianity, just because he talked about motivation and building a business. And Democrats don't do that. The left doesn't do that. Now there's more people doing it now. It's part of the reason I decided to do this podcast. Like, I wanted to come and talk about being an entrepreneur. Like, they like to create this image of me, and they're like, well, he's a white dude for Harris, so like he's a loser and he hates football and like he's a cuck and blah blah blah. And I'm like, nope, happily married with a kid, running like 6 successful businesses, have done pretty well, wearing a nice watch, driving a nice car. Like, and again, I'm not bragging about those things. Is that I'm a little bit tired of them defining me like that and then giving bad advice to people.
Yeah. Couple topics for you.
Okay.
The U.S. debt is $37.5 trillion.
Yep.
What is the plan? Not that you're in charge of this, but from a political standpoint, like, what's the solution here? Because I looked it up. It goes up by $1 million every 24 seconds. Like, I sat here and watched it. I was like, 24 seconds went by.
Did you just have it open there? That was stressful.
No, I don't have it open, but I did earlier. I was I counted. I was like, 24 seconds went by. We went up $1 million in debt. Are we ever going to get out of that? That seems almost like...
No, but I don't think debt is necessarily a bad thing either.
But 37.5...
Well, it's way too high. It's way too high. Absolutely. And I think debt as a ratio of our GDP is the important sort of barometer between the two.
Yeah.
But a lot of hard decisions have to be made relative to how we're going to try to have a balanced budget. And maybe we don't have to have a balanced budget. You hear people all the time that are like, we should run government like a business, and that means we should eliminate this debt. And I'm like, do you realize how many businesses are deeply in debt? Like, leverage is an important part of running a business, and you know this because you're an entrepreneur. It's okay to have debt. Like, debt isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Not even good debt, because good debt is like tied to a house. It's okay to like invest in the future of your business, to take out a loan. Not necessarily. If you have an idea and you take out a small business loan for $1.5 million to build, to sell widgets or whatever, that's not good debt.
Well, I think good debt to me is building towards the future.
Yeah.
Right? Investing in something that you believe will be something greater.
Yeah.
Versus bad debt is like, I bought an expensive car that I'm just going to drive for myself.
Yeah. So, and maybe I'm just off on this.
Or I racked up credit card debt at the mall because I wanted to look flashy.
Right.
That's bad debt. Yes. Good debt is like, I'm going to do something with this productive.
Right. Yeah. When I hear good debt, I hear like it's tied to an asset. So I hear like good debt
business is like, an asset.
I don't think it is, because businesses are so risky. So I don't think I view like a small business.
You don't think a business is an asset?
I think a business is it's certainly an asset on paper, but like I think of it like as a house. Like, I'm buying
a house. Is risky too. It could go down in value and you could lose everything.
Yeah, but I think a house is like just dramatically, like real estate dramatically less risky than like buying a business or starting a business. Like, most businesses fail in the first year. So like most houses don't burn down in the first year. So it's a little bit of a
most of them don't fail in the first year. Most businesses?
Most businesses
Over 50%?
fail?
No, I don't think it's quite that high.
Maybe,
but
it's maybe it's restaurants. It's like
that might be true.
Yeah, no, right. I mean,
that's a tough business.
Every time I'm in a restaurant, I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, we'll put the fact check up there.
Yeah, fact check me.
But to your point, it is higher. I think by year like 10, it's like 60 or 70% like that. But
I read
first year is like 20, 30% or something like that. Then 3 years it's higher, and then
This is like an EOS or an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs organization like here in Chicago. Like, I think it's a stat, and it's something.
Are you part of that?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, the best thing I've ever done.
Really?
I love them to death.
Yeah.
It's really useful if you're an entrepreneur out there listening to this, which I imagine you are, because that's your audience.
Yeah.
Go find a group of people that you could talk to about being an entrepreneur, because
it
sucks and it's hard, and you get isolated from everybody, and sometimes you need to complain about your wife or your business partner or something like that. I think it's something like 95% of small businesses never make it to like $1 million gross.
I could see that.
Sales. Yeah. And then do you know what percentage you get to 5 million of?
You mean gross sales all time or in 1 year?
Gross sales, period.
Wow.
Yeah. And then somebody should fact check me if I'm wrong, but this is what I've heard is, and then
it's probably what they're telling me.
God, it's so good. I'm so upset about how much better it is.
They're telling me
God, that's a good party trick. I mean, I have a couple of impressions that I'm pretty proud of, and that's pretty damn good.
You know what's funny, man? I sent a couple people just over the last couple of years. I've done the impression here and there. I don't work on it a lot, but it's come kind of naturally to me.
I can just imagine you be in the middle of the night, you're by yourself, you're in the bathroom, just going, "It's a great stream." Really good job, everyone's saying.
But he's also very easy to do an impression on because he's just a character, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I've sent voice notes to people, and they've been like, "Dude, AI system did you use to do that?" I'm like, "No, dude, that was me." They're like, "No fucking way," right? Yeah.
So my impression that I could do that I like, I'll do it for the show.
Yeah, do it.
Just embarrass the shit out of myself. Is I like doing Christian Bale's Batman a lot. My
son
is hilarious. So I'll be like, "Rachel,
That's
Where is she? I'm actually gonna move.
Yeah.
The mic and be like, the line from have you ever seen Dark Knight Rises? With
Yeah,
Bane?
I've seen them all.
So when he's screaming at him about the trigger for the bomb, and he's
Yes.
like, "Where's the trigger?" And then he goes, "You would never give it to an ordinary citizen." And it just gets like more.
He does.
He
His
just
tongue gets in there.
garbles it out.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. And then I used to do this with my son all the time when he was in the bathtub. I'd take a little like cup that he would have, and I would go, "Oh, you think darkness is your highlight?" You know.
Yeah.
So like I love those.
Yeah, it's
my
fun.
Christian Bale Batman is my like party trick one.
Dude, I think he's the best Batman.
He's in the best Batman movies. Christian Bale is the type of actor where he's in the best movies, but I don't know that he's the best actor in those movies.
I thought he was pretty good though.
The Thor movie that he was in, where he was the bad guy. Have you seen it?
No, I don't think
It's
so.
Love and Thunder, I think it's called. Christian Bale is playing this like dark, brooding character that's murdering gods, and then he's in an entirely different movie than everybody else. Like he is absolutely terrifying, and then like Thor's making like poop jokes, and I'm like, wait, I want to watch the movie that Christian Bale's in because that actually seems more interesting.
That's funny.
He's a great actor. What were we talking about?
We were talking about businesses and going out of business and stuff like that. The 95%.
Yeah.
$1 million a year.
Well, I mean, but go back to the debt for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we have every Republican president in my lifetime has cut taxes for billionaires, every single one of them, and they've cut taxes for the middle class too, but they're always temporary tax cuts.
Yeah.
So, like all the tax cuts that they just passed a few months ago, like Donald Trump loves to talk about no tax for tips. It's no tax for tips just on cash. Increasingly, people are getting tipped electronically, so it doesn't count for that.
Why is that the case?
Why are they getting it electronically?
Why would it just be on cash when we know that?
Well, because
Which is talking point.
most people don't report their cash tips. So it
course.
was not revenue that the government was getting anyway.
Right.
So it actually has, I mean,
Wow.
it was all just a scam.
Of course people aren't reporting their cash
People
tips.
are not reporting their cash tips. So like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they don't extend it to the electronic ones, which are now reported, and that's taking over everywhere you go. I mean,
That doesn't make sense that you wouldn't get to report it just from the payment method.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's bad. So you're continuing to pay the same amount of taxes, but billionaires have had 4 consecutive tax cuts under.
But hasn't Biden the previous administration
They let some of them expire.
I feel like they all just give billionaires. They pay for the damn campaigns.
Hold on.
don't they?
Biden did not cut taxes for billionaires. I want to be clear about that.
But he left cuts in place,
some
didn't
of them,
he?
as part of a compromise.
Right. So I'm like,
they
don't they all?
Yeah, no,
cut?
listen, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're looking for me to be like one-sided in this, like,
Yeah.
no, this is every party's responsibility. Like, we have completely failed to deal with this. And then nobody wants to raise revenue. And I don't think we should raise revenue on regular people, to be clear. Like, I actually think we should cut taxes for like the bottom.
Raise revenue. What do you mean?
Like taxes.
Oh, taxes.
I was thinking about revenue and debt. That's all.
Got it.
And I mean, look, here's the leverage you can pull, right? You can either cut stuff, you can either find a way to make more money,
Yeah.
or you can cut. What did I just say? Cut stuff, raise money, etc.
Yeah.
So, I think we have to raise taxes, And we are in a very unequal civilization right now. And we have a lot of problems that we need to solve too. So you're right. The debt is too high. They're right that there's a ton of bloat, waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. Like, I'm not going to pretend like it's not.
For sure.
What Musk and Doge did was ridiculous. Like, they didn't really cut any of that. Most of the biggest stuff is like defense contracts. It's poorly put together government programs. But you do have a lot of people that like probably should not be in government anymore. A lot of positions that don't need to be there. There is over-regulation. Some of that regulation is really important. Some of those programs are really important. For God's sakes, they cut cancer research for kids. And then yesterday, they're going to tell pregnant women not to take Tylenol based on, as far as I can tell, no scientific evidence. And Donald Trump cannot pronounce the word acetaminophen, which I actually, as I started to say, I got terrified I was going to say it wrong. Have you seen that video?
No.
Oh, go watch him pronouncing acetaminophen, because he's like, how do you say this word? Okay, wait.
It's a make-believe word anyways.
Acetaminophen. Did I get it? Like, it's exactly.
We're going to change the name. We're going to change the name so big and so fast.
I think it's called Trumplinol now. Don't take it if you're pregnant, but everybody else should take it.
That's good.
That was not bad.
Yeah.
I think you just have to, like, I got to get it.
You got to work it.
I got to work it a little bit. Yeah. I always go, Hillary Clinton.
And it's the, also the... Fast. Yeah, well, it's the New York. It's the New York with the thing. You got to get the little New York.
Well, there's the little like. This is just gonna be a whole podcast.
It's gonna be so fast.
It's gonna be good. A lot of people are saying, not me, but a lot of people say it. I don't know.
Well, people are telling me.
They're probably telling me. I'm so envious of this. It'd be so valuable for me to have.
It would be valuable.
It'd be extremely valuable for me to have that.
Yeah.
All my impressions I can't do because like, why would I ever in the middle of a political interview break into Christian Bale?
No, they'd be like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Rachel.
Yeah. So we're not going to get out of the $1 trillion of debt. We're going to be pretty much in debt forever.
Well, I think it's fine to have debt as long as you can pay it off. Like, again, I don't think that... I think the debt is one of those things where it's over-indexed as a political issue. It's still an issue. Don't get me wrong. But we got to make tough decisions.
Doesn't it hit a ceiling at a certain point where it's just like...
Yeah, then they raise it. The politicians are just going to raise it.
But
honestly, they're going to get rid of the debt.
People stop borrowing. People stop lending you money. No?
Not as long as we have so many consumers and so much money in the country. Now, if we have like a run on money in the country, a real problem.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. So, Chicago.
Yep.
That's the last political type thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
What do you think? Because this is your city, right?
Yes.
I'm in the burbs, so I don't claim Chicago.
Sure.
But what's
going
on?
You do when you're on vacation, though. You're like, where are you from?
Well,
like, Chicago.
As a general relative, I'm like, Chicago. You don't know St. Charles.
Yeah,
Illinois.
we all hate that, right? Yeah. I call people out of that all the time when I meet somebody and they're like, oh, I grew up in Chicago. I'll be like, where? And they'll be like, Evanston. And I'm like, Evanston's not Chicago. Get that out of your mouth.
You have to orient people, right? So if you're like St. Charles, like, I don't know what the hell it is, but like Chicago suburbs. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah.
If you say Chicago suburbs, I respect you. But if you say Chicago, I will call you.
Yeah. What's the state of the city right now, in your opinion? Obviously, a lot of talks about Trump coming in and National Guard and that kind of stuff. The crime stuff, people are saying it's not as safe as it used to be. Yeah. What's your perspective, and what should we do about it?
Yeah, well, I think crime is a real issue in Chicago. I won't deny that it's not. Now, the stats show improvement. So, like the reduction.
What are they doing about it, though?
Well, not enough is what I would say. And the problem with Brandon Johnson's administration is he's not really doing much of nothing about anything. And
it doesn't seem like Pritzker really cares.
I think Pritzker cares. But again, it's the city controls the police force. And I think if it were me, like, I think we should have more police. I think they should be properly trained. I don't think we should, I think one of the biggest mistakes that this country makes in every city in America is like we hire a bunch of cops, we send them out into the street with a pistol, and we don't really properly train them, or we ask them to do too much. We do this with public servants all the time. Teachers are asked to be a teacher, they're asked to be a counselor, they're asked to be a babysitter. Like, they're just asked to be way too much, and then they're not paid enough, so we don't attract really good, talented people. That's a problem. The same is true for police. Like, we should pay police more, we should attract high quality talent, particularly in a world where AI is going to kill all these entry-level jobs. We should be going out of our way to try to incentivize young people to want to be teachers, to want to be police officers, to want to be firefighters. We do this actually really effectively with garbage men, because that's a horrible job where you're working with trash all day, but the benefits and the pay for most garbage people, amazing. Why can't we do that with everybody else and provide them with a good life and make sure that we service our kids and service our community? So I think that's a big problem. I do think.
But what is one thing Pritzker's done to make the city safer?
I mean, I think fighting to keep Donald Trump out of the city with the National Guard. I don't think the National Guard.
But before that, is there one thing he's really done?
I mean,
to be clear, I'm not an expert in this. I don't know. You may list off 10 things. I'm like, cool.
I mean,
I just don't hear anybody saying like, this is what we're going to do to make the city safer.
Well, if you want to have a conversation about Democrats being bad at articulating what we're going to do, absolutely. Like, that is a problem the Democratic Party has. We are very reactive to Donald Trump. We are not proactive and going, here's what we're doing. X,
but
Y,
aside
and Z.
from Donald Trump, even before that.
Yeah, I agree.
Just like what do we like? It's you don't hear anything, you don't see anything being done,
right?
Which makes me think you don't care,
right? Well, I think Democrats fall into this trap of Donald Trump is amazing at identifying the problems. So and he identifies those problems based on feelings. Yeah. So statistically speaking, Chicago is actually safer than it's been in quite a long time. But you don't feel that. So like, what does it matter? And I tell people all the time, it's sort of, I can drop the F-bomb on the show. Yeah. It's like, fuck your feelings. But like, that's how you want it to be. Yeah. But like, I don't feel safe. So there's no argument to be made if I don't feel safe. Same with the economy. Like all the economic indicators last year were looking better than they had over the last couple of years. Inflation was better than it was certainly than it is now. But people were mad and they felt like their economic situation was worse, so they punished the party. And we spent a lot of time going, the stats say this and the blah, blah, blah says that. And like Nobel laureate economists say this. We have to stop doing that.
You're right.
You don't
Trump
feel
is good at getting feelings.
Trump's really good. He's terrible at solving problems. I can't think of a single problem he's actually solved. I think he's good at, the only thing he can solve is a problem that he's created. Like he'll be like, I created a problem on Tuesday and I solved it on Wednesday. Give me the Nobel Peace Prize. And you'll be like, wait a minute. You just bombed Iran and you're asking for the Nobel Peace Prize? I don't understand. But I think the Democrats need to articulate a clear vision for the future. Now, like, part of the problem is what Democrats like to do is we put these big bills together and we give them a name that you can't remember and we give them an initiative. And like, so like there are lots of things I know that they've put in like state legislatures pass bills that Pritzker has signed that is like increased community policing and other initiatives like that. Like those are things we can get into.
Let me ask you this. It almost feels like the Democratic Party sometimes can't tackle these hard issues because if they try to like put police in areas, in certain areas, like low income areas, all of a sudden they'll be attacked for like, you're going against this group of people. And it's almost like, you know what I mean? It's almost like the moral high horse. You have to be on it. And like, if you address this problem, let's just say like South Side Chicago or West Side or wherever it was, if they like address that, it would be him going against that group of people.
No, I don't think so because I think what you find is the South Side of Chicago would like more police. I think more than anything.
Yeah,
they want them to be properly trained and empowered to do their jobs. I think that's the challenge. Is like what they don't want is they don't want the National Guard sweeping in for like 2 months to like clean up Chicago and then leave. I mean, it isn't a sustainable solution.
Yeah, right.
One thing I'll remind people of is in the Republican budget they cut $2 billion for community policing, which means fewer cops will be on the streets all across America because of that. And they'll certainly the other half of that is that they'll be like less incentivized to get good pay and good benefits, and that's a mistake. So. Again, I think the Democratic Party's problem is, and I hate to keep harping on the economy, but I just think it's an easier thing for me to tie it to, is Donald Trump will go, build the wall, drain the swamp, whatever you want to say, no tax on tips, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked about no tax on tips and as vapid as it ultimately is because the government's not getting any...
That's wild, man. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't know that. I don't think most people know that it's only on cash. Because to your point, most people don't report the cash anyway. So they're like, I'm not getting any gain here.
Right. It's temporary, too. It expires in like 3 years. All the tax cuts on the middle class expire in 3 years.
So that was a campaign talking point that really didn't mean anything.
Yes.
That erodes trust for me.
Now, so Donald Trump will be very simple in what he wants to say and articulate to people, and then Democrats will be like, please pass we're going to pass the blah, blah, blah Act, and the blah, blah, blah
Section A75.
Right. If you file Form 52B with the IRS, you'll get a 75-cent tax return. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So like we have to get beyond the paradigms that we exist in and have some big, bold ideas that are easy to explain, and then we have to go do them. Because if you ask people what Joe Biden accomplished in the last 4 years, most people will be like, I have no clue. They just don't.
Right.
And I like Joe Biden. I thought Joe Biden was a good president more often than he was a bad president.
Yeah, until the end where he was in rough shape.
I mean, he was tired. He was tired.
I think it was more than tired.
I believe he was all there mentally. I don't buy that at all.
Dude, did you see the last debate?
Dude, the debate was horrendous. One of the worst things I've ever seen. But
not even just the debate, any interview he did.
It was like I think he was physically unable to do it. I think that was what it was. I truly believe
But did you watch all the other things?
Oh, I've seen a ton.
He was mentally declining.
I think he was slower and his list was a big issue, but I don't buy the he wasn't mentally there part of it. That's the part that I don't
know how he was thinking because we don't know. We're not in this conversation.
I think he was all there.
How he presented himself was he was not freaking there.
But having been around like my grandfather died when he was 88. And having been around he was there mentally until the very end. But physically, he wasn't able to do the things that he wanted. Physically, he wasn't able to tell his body what to do. I think that's what was happening. Now, I'm not justifying him. He should not have run for re-election. Running for re-election was a terrible decision.
Right.
What his advisors did around him was a terrible decision. I'm just saying I wasn't I'm not in the Joe Biden wasn't there and Jill Biden was running the country stuff. I'm not, that I think is a step too far for me.
Yeah, I got you.
But it's not, what happened was not justifiable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are you doing all this for? Are you planning on running at some point,
no,
or are you just a straight up entrepreneur and political activist that wants to change the country a bit.
Yeah. Well, I am an elected official, actually. I serve on the school council for the school down the street from me. And my son doesn't go there, but it's just like a group of parents that like need an extra pair of hands.
Yeah.
So I got elected by like 10 teachers and parents. Like it is not a big election.
Nice.
But I tell people all the time is like the little bit of progress I get to make there actually feels way more valuable than what I do at work half the time. Because
you feel like nothing changes.
Because at work, it's just like I feel like I'm banging against a brick wall trying to get politicians to listen to what I have to say. They don't want to listen at all.
So what's the point?
What's the point? I'm too deep into my adulthood and I have no other life skills. I don't know what else to do.
I don't think
no, but it's
true.
like, no, I think like I'm more.
You got to be hopeful that it will change at some point.
I think it will
Otherwise,
get
you
better.
wouldn't be doing this.
We're at a moment where American politics is going to shift dramatically in the next couple of years, whether you want it to or not, because Trump is done. Whatever he says, he's not running for a third term. I don't think he can physically run for a third term anyway, but he certainly like constitutionally can't. Yeah. So Democrats are going to pick a new nominee. Republicans are picking a new nominee. We're going to have a new Republican Party. We're going to have a new Democratic Party, and we're going to have a new country to move forward in. I don't know if it'll be better. I don't know if it'll be worse, but I know that I get to be one of the few people that maybe gets to have an impact on that in my corner of the internet and the world around me. So I would like to be valuable. When I got started doing this, it was because I saw the Iraq War and I thought it was one of the dumbest things the American government ever did, and I wanted to end the Iraq War. And now 20 years later, I'm here. And I'm not trying to be self-aggrandizing in that, is I would like to be useful at this moment when I really, truly do believe. I believe Donald Trump is a fascist. I believe that things that Donald Trump is doing are things that an authoritarian would do. The FCC stuff with Jimmy Kimmel is an obvious example of that. But it's about he's becoming a single source of truth and morality for a large group of this country. And to me, that's extraordinarily dangerous. And if I saw Barack Obama doing that, I would say the same thing because this, I don't know if you've followed this, but Tom Homan, who's the border czar, he's Donald Trump's border czar. He sort of oversees all of the immigration policy. He was caught on tape from the FBI taking a $50,000 bribe. And it came out over the weekend that they caught him on tape taking a bribe, promising government contracts before he took office, after the election, before he took office.
That's what I'm saying, man.
And Kash Patel and Pam Bondi shut down the investigation. And now every single MAGA influencer is out there saying they've decided that there's 3 talking points that they have relative to why this doesn't matter. The first one is that the deep state made him do it. They're arguing that the FBI entrapped him into taking $50,000 in a kava bag, in a DC kava, which why would you ever accept a bag of $50,000 in cash? Have you ever been, I mean, we're both doing pretty well, imagine, as an entrepreneur. Have you ever had a bag of cash like that?
No.
Exactly. So there's no justifiable reason to ever have that unless you're like at a casino. And you
but that's a lot to just blow.
Yes, there's that. So the second one is, and Megyn Kelly literally said this, she was like, we don't care because he's deporting immigrants. They were like, we don't care about corruption because he's deporting immigrants. And the third is that he hadn't taken office yet, so you can't actually take a bribe when you're not in office yet, which is also ridiculous because private citizens can also take bribes.
Right.
So it's really silly. And what I don't like about it is it's this truth and morality thing. Donald Trump says it's okay, so it's okay. Donald Trump says it's true, so it's true. That's really scary and dangerous. And like, look, you manage a household budget. You're trying to get a job in this economy. You know the economy is not great. You know everything's more expensive. But Donald Trump every single day is like, America's economy is the hottest it's ever been. Everything's less expensive. Those things are dangerous, and I will keep fighting that. And for me, maybe it's as simple as someday my son will be an adult, and I would like him to inherit a world that's better. And if I don't inherit a world that's better than what we have today, at least I could tell him I tried. And I don't know. I feel like I'm banging my head against a wall a lot of the times, but maybe eventually it's like chipping away at a block of ice. Eventually it'll just, and we are going to have a new version of the Democratic Party, a new version of the Republican Party. So maybe they'll be better.
Yeah. What about from a business standpoint? Where are you headed with that? What would you like to have happen?
Well, we're turning Endless Urgency into a real company. So I incorporated it a couple weeks ago. The paid subscribers we get from Substack is incredible.
What do you paid subscribers? So 1 million plus subscribers. Yeah. And then a portion of that is paid.
Yeah. So like some people pay like $8 a month to help support the work. And right now, all of my content is completely free. So I'm trying to not do a paywall for anybody. I'm just asking people to help support the work because they believe in the work that I'm doing. So because of what they've been able to give us, we were able to buy a studio space. We're furnishing that space. I made my first hiring a community manager.
Good for you, man.
I want to 10, 20x my content. I want to be getting more out. I want to expand in other verticals. I want to bring on somebody to talk about culture. I want to be somebody to talk about sports. I want to do what the right has done. Cool. They built these ecosystems that are really successful. Like Outkick is really successful. I can't stand Outkick's coverage of literally anything, but they're really, really good at what they've done, and they have a big audience. Barstool, I prefer Barstool over Outkick by a mile. I think we can build something like that on the left, and I think can also have a lot of fun with it.
Mike, this has been a interesting and good conversation. Yeah, I appreciate you being here. I really do. Coming from the city, I know it's not easy getting out here with traffic and shit, so I appreciate
I'm sorry, I was, for those that don't know, I was 40 minutes late getting here for this.
Yeah, but it's all good, man. I appreciate people that make the trip out here. So, and thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. I like the fact that you are, even though you are aligned with one party, obviously, I like the fact that you can see both sides and you're willing to admit when something's off or you don't know something or that your party has made some mistakes too. And I think that's what it takes. Yeah. You have to be able to care about the truth, what's actually going to make the country better and what's really happening versus just my side.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what you're talking about earlier. It's like, it's if something bad happened, we should address that, even if it's in your own party.
Right.
Right. Because it's the truth and that's values. And that's what makes our country stronger. So
agree.
Thanks for being here. Where can people find you, connect with you, learn more about you?
Yeah, go to endlessurgency.com if you want to subscribe to the Substack. Mike Nellis at most major platforms. Some of them have an underscore in it, but easy enough to find.
Appreciate you being here.
Of course.
Thanks,
Thank you
Mike.
for having me.
Thanks.